never thought my life would come down to a piece of paper. A contract. The first time I stepped into Ethan Reed's office, my palms were sweaty, my heart beating like a drum inside my chest. He was already sitting behind his wide glass desk, his eyes scanning me like I was nothing but a line in a deal he was about to close. "Sit," he said, without looking up. I sat, clutching the folder in my hands. The contract was simple, on paper. Stay with him, be by his side for a year. He would pay for my mother's medical bills, make sure my younger brother went to school. Money was the reason I said yes, at least that's what I told myself. But the truth was, even then, something about Ethan drew me in. Maybe it was the way he never smiled, as if life had taken everything from him already. Maybe it was the loneliness behind his sharp words. He looked at me finally, his dark eyes narrowing. "Do you understand what this means?" "Yes," I whispered. My voice shook, but I didn't look away. "Then sign." I signed, and just like that, my life changed. Living in his house felt like stepping into another world. Marble floors, endless halls, rooms that smelled of fresh flowers no one ever touched. But the house was empty. Cold Ethan was the same. Cold, controlled, always working. He spoke little, and when he did, his words were sharp, almost cutting. But I saw things others didn't, like the way he loosened his tie at midnight when he thought no one was watching. The way he stood by the window, staring at the city lights as if searching for something he could never find. And slowly, against every reason, I began to fall for him. Not because of the contract, not because of the money, but because I saw the man hidden behind the armor. One evening, I brought him tea while he worked late. His desk was covered in files, his phone buzzing nonstop. "You should rest," I said softly, placing the cup down. He didn't look up. "I don't rest. You'll burn out." For a second, silence. Then he looked at me, really looked, as if seeing me for the first time. His eyes softened, just a fraction. "Why do you care?" he asked. The question broke something in me. I wanted to say, "Because I love you," but I only smiled weakly. "Because someone should." He didn't reply, but later that night I found the empty cup on the desk. He had finished the tea, and for me, that was enough. But what Ethan never knew was that while I was falling for him, I was also fighting something else, something I couldn't tell him. The headaches. The dizziness. The nights I woke up in pain so sharp I thought it would split me in two. I didn't have the strength to tell him. Not when I already knew the answer. He didn't care. Not really, I was just a contract, or so I thought. Days turned into weeks, and weeks blurred into months. Life with Ethan was routine, quiet, and sometimes painfully cold. But I stayed, I cooked when he skipped meals. I made tea when he drowned himself in work. I left a blanket on the couch when he fell asleep in his office chair. He never asked and he never thanked me, but every little thing I did was my way of loving him, even if I couldn't say it out loud. One night I found him sitting in the dark study. His tie was loose, his jacket on the floor, and he was staring at a glass of whiskey without drinking it. "Ethan?" I whispered from the door. He didn't move. His voice was low, tired. "Do you ever wonder if people only stay because of what you can give them?" My heart clenched. He was talking about me. About the contract. I walked in slowly and sat across from him. "I don't stay for what you give me." He looked at me, his eyes sharp as if trying to catch a lie. "Then why?" I hesitated. My throat burned with the words I wanted to say. "Because I love you. Because even if you don't see me, I see you." Instead, I said softly, "Because sometimes people need someone even if they don't admit it." For the first time since I met him, his lips curved into the faintest smile. It wasn't much, but it felt like the sun after a long storm. My illness, though, was growing harder to hide. The headaches came more often. Sometimes I locked myself in the bathroom just to throw up quietly so he wouldn't hear. My vision blurred on bad days, but I forced myself to smile whenever he walked past. One evening, I fainted in the kitchen. When I opened my eyes, Ethan was kneeling beside me, panic written all over his face. "Lily!" His voice shook, his hands on my shoulders. "What happened? Are you sick?" I forced a weak smile. "I'm fine. Just dizzy." His eyes darkened. "Fine. You collapsed on the floor. That's not fine. He actually carried me to the couch. His arms were strong but tense, as if he wasn't used to holding anyone. Rest, he ordered, his tone sharp but his hands surprisingly gentle. I'll call a doctor. No! I grabbed his sleeve, my voice desperate. Please, it's nothing. I just need rest. His jaw tightened. He hated being defied, but after a long pause, he nodded. Fine, but if it happens again, I won't listen to you. I closed my eyes, pretending to rest, but inside my heart ached. Not because of my illness, but because for the first time I saw fear in Ethan's eyes, fear of losing me. After that day, he changed just a little. He still buried himself in work, but sometimes when he thought I wasn't looking, I caught his eyes on me, as if he was trying to figure me out. He started eating the meals I cooked instead of ignoring them. He began leaving his office door open when I passed by, as if inviting me in without words. And one night when I left tea on his desk, he caught my hand before I could walk away. Stay, he said. I froze. My heart raced so fast I thought he could hear it. Just sit, he added quickly, his voice softer. So I sat. We didn't talk much. He worked, I watched quietly, and for the first time, it felt like I wasn't just someone bound by paper. For the first time, it felt like maybe, just maybe, I mattered. But deep inside, I knew it wouldn't last, because nothing built on a contract ever could, and because my body was breaking faster than my heart could keep up. Thought I was beginning to understand Ethan. His silences, his guarded eyes, his small unspoken gestures that no one else noticed. But all of that shattered the day she returned. It was a Tuesday morning. I was setting breakfast on the table when the sound of heels echoed through the hall. A woman walked in like she owned the house. Tall, elegant, dressed in a sharp red dress that hugged her figure. Her perfume filled the room before she even spoke. Ethan, she said, her voice smooth, confident. I froze, a plate still in my hands. Ethan was standing by the table, and for the first time I saw him truly shaken. His mask slipped. His hand tightened around the glass he was holding. Maya, he breathed. The name hit me like a slap. I set the plate down carefully, afraid my trembling hands would drop it. Maya smiled at him, walking closer like she had every right to. It's been a long time. Ethan didn't move, didn't blink. He just stared at her like the rest of the room had disappeared. And in that moment, I understood this was the woman who had left him. The ghost he never stopped searching for in city lights and whiskey glasses. In sleepless nights, this was the one he loved. I slipped away quietly, unnoticed. My chest felt heavy, each step like carrying a mountain. I had no right to feel this way. After all, I was just a contract, but knowing didn't make it hurt less. For days after, the house felt different. Maya came often. They would talk in the study, voices low, doors closed. Sometimes I'd hear laughter, the kind I never heard from Ethan when he was with me. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter, that I had no claim on his heart, that the contract was my reason for staying. But every time I saw him look at her, something inside me cracked. There one evening, I was clearing the dining table when I heard them in the hall. You shouldn't have come back. Ethan's voice was tight. Lo, and yet here I am, Maya replied, almost teasing. You can't deny you missed me. I stopped, my hands gripping a plate too hard. I missed the idea of you, he said finally. The woman I thought you were. Her laugh was soft, dangerous. You still want me, Ethan, you always will. I couldn't hear the rest. I set the plate down and hurried upstairs, my chest burning. Later that night, Ethan came into the kitchen where I was making tea. His eyes lingered on me longer than usual, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't. He just took the cup and walked away, and I realized then, silence can hurt more than words. The days blurred together, but the pain grew sharper. I kept serving him, caring for him in small ways, even as my body weakened. I told myself it was enough just to be near him, until one night I heard the words that broke me completely. I was passing by his study when Maya's voice rang out. Let her go, Ethan. You don't need her. She's nothing but a shadow in your house. I froze, my heart pounding. Then Ethan's voice, calm and cold. Maybe you're right. The world tilted. My knees went weak, but I pressed my hand against the wall to steady myself. Maybe you're right. The man I loved, the man I served even with my broken body, was ready to let me go for her, and in that moment I knew, no contract, no love, no devotion could change the fact that I was just temporary in his life. I packed my things quietly, the way a thief would steal in the night, not because Ethan asked me to, but because his silence had already answered all my questions. He had chosen her. I folded my few clothes, tucked away the worn notebook where I kept my thoughts, and stared at the empty spaces in the room that once felt too big for me. Every corner held a memory, small, fragile pieces of my heart I had given, without asking for anything back, the blanket I placed on him when he worked too late, the teacups left empty on his desk, the quiet nights we shared in silence. None of it mattered anymore. My illness was getting worse. The headaches came daily now, sharp and merciless. My body felt weaker with every step. A part of me thought maybe leaving would be easier for him too. No burden, no contract, no sick girl clinging to his shadow. As I zipped my small bag, I whispered to myself, "It's better this way." But my heart screamed otherwise. I waited until the house was quiet. Ethan was in the study with Maya again. Their voices carried faintly through the hall, low but unmistakable. I stopped outside the door for a moment, listening. "Why keep her here?" Maya asked. "She won't be here much longer," Ethan replied flatly. That was it, the final blow. I pressed my lips together, fighting back tears, and walked away before my knees gave out. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Short, simple, without the words I truly wanted to write. "Thank you for everything. Take care of yourself, no name, no love. Just a goodbye disguised as politeness." I stood at the doorway looking back one last time. The house that once felt like a prison, then like a fragile dream, was now just walls and emptiness. And Ethan, he was a chapter I had to close before he could tear me apart completely. When I stepped out into the night air, the city lights blurred through my tears. My head throbbed, the pain sharp and merciless, but I kept walking. For the first time, I had no destination, no plan, just freedom wrapped in heartbreak. I thought about the day I signed the contract, how scared I had been. I thought about every moment I'd chosen to stay, even when I could have left. And now leaving felt harder than all of it combined. My heart whispered his name with every step, but my lips stayed sealed, because love wasn't enough. Not when he had chosen someone else. Not when goodbye was the only gift I had left to give him. That night, I boarded a train out of the city. The seat felt cold, the world outside rushing past in streaks of light and shadow. I pressed my forehead against the window, my reflection pale and tired. Maybe I didn't have much time left. Maybe the illness would win sooner than I expected, but at least I wouldn't have to die watching him love someone else. For the first time in months, I let the tears fall freely, not quietly in hidden corners, but openly, shamelessly, as the train carried me farther away from him, from us, from the love I had given everything to, and the man who never realized it until it was too late. The city I ran to was smaller, quieter, almost hidden from the world. I rented a tiny room above a bakery. The walls were thin, the air smelled like fresh bread every morning, and the space was nothing compared to Ethan's mansion. But for me it was enough to breathe, enough to heal, even if healing was only an illusion. My illness stayed with me, of course. The pain didn't leave when I left him. The headaches came sharp as knives, sometimes making me collapse in my small bed, clutching my head until the wave passed. But I learned to live with it, to endure it in silence the way I endured everything else. I started working at the bakery downstairs. The owner, an older woman named Mrs. Hayes, was kind but didn't ask too many questions. She let me arrange flowers in little jars for the tables, something that strangely gave me peace. It was there that I first met Noah. And he came into the bakery one rainy morning, shaking water from his hair, his jacket dripping. He had kind eyes, the sort that made you feel safe without saying a word. "Black coffee," he said, flashing a quick smile. I brought it to his table, and when he looked up at me, his smile softened. "You're new here." "Yes," I said quietly. "I'm Noah." Lily. Simple, ordinary. But for the first time in a long while, I felt noticed. Not because of what I could give, not because of a contract, but simply because I existed. Days turned into weeks. Noah became a regular at the bakery. He always sat by the window, always ordered the same coffee, and always tried to make me laugh with his little jokes. "Careful," he teased one morning. "If you keep bringing me coffee like this, I might start thinking you like me." I smiled faintly, shaking my head. "I'm just doing my job," but inside I felt warmth. A kind of warmth I hadn't allowed myself in months. Noah never pushed, never asked too much. He just stayed, and sometimes that was more than enough. One evening, when the shop had closed, he waited outside with an umbrella. "You don't have to walk home in the rain," he said. I hesitated. "I can manage. I know you can," he said gently. "But maybe you don't have to." I don't know why, but those words broke me a little. Maybe because no one had ever said them to me before. So I let him walk me home. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel completely alone. But my illness didn't let me forget. One night, after another painful attack, I collapsed in my tiny room. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, Noah sitting beside me, his hand wrapped around mine. "You scared me," he said softly, his voice raw. "I didn't mean to," I whispered. "Weak. You don't have to do this alone, Lily," he said, eyes shining with something more than pity. Something closer to love. "Let me be here for you." Tears stung my eyes. I wanted to tell him the truth, that my time was slipping away, that I was already too broken to be saved. But all I managed was a quiet, "Thank you," because for the first time since Ethan, I felt like maybe my life wasn't just about pain and loss. Maybe there was still a reason to keep fighting. The house felt different without her. I told myself it didn't matter. That Lily had only been here because of a contract, because of what I could give her. But the silence she left behind was louder than anything I'd ever known. The kitchen counter was empty. No tea waiting on my desk. No soft footsteps outside my office door. I tried to drown it in work, buried myself in meetings, contracts, numbers. But every time I came home, the emptiness clawed at me. And then there was Maya. At first, having her back felt like old times, familiar, predictable. But soon, the cracks showed. She spent more time at parties than at home. She wanted the life she once left behind, not me. She laughed with her friends about money, power, and people she didn't care about. One night, I came home late to find her sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. "Where were you?" I asked. "Out," she said casually. "You don't own me, Ethan." Her words struck me harder than I expected. Maybe because they reminded me of something Lily never said, even though she could have. "Why did you come back?" I asked finally. Maya looked up, smirking. "Because I could. And because you'd always take me back." That was the moment it hit me. I had chosen her. Over Lily. Over the woman who cared for me in silence, who stood by me in sickness, who gave without asking for anything. And now she was gone. I searched the house for any trace of her. That's when I found the note on the kitchen counter. "Thank you for everything. Take care of yourself. No name, no goodbye. Just a finality that burned worse than fire." I sat at the counter reading it over and over until the paper blurred from the anger in my eyes. Why hadn't I stopped her? Why hadn't I seen what she meant to me until it was too late? Because I was a fool. A fool who had chosen the past and lost the only present that mattered. And for days, I couldn't focus. Every room whispered her absence. I replayed moments in my head, her quiet smile, her soft voice telling me to rest. The way she looked at me like I was more than the mask I wore. And then another truth cut deeper than all of it. I remembered the night she fainted. Her pale face, the way her body shook in my arms. She had been sick and I hadn't noticed. I clenched my fists, anger burning through me. Not at her, at myself. I had been blind. Too consumed with ghosts to see the angel standing right in front of me. And now, what if she was out there fighting alone? The thought was unbearable. One evening, Maya stormed into my office, annoyed. "You've been distant lately," she said. "Is this about that girl? The one who left?" "Her name is Lily," I snapped, sharper than I intended. Maya scoffed. "You'll forget her soon enough." She was nothing. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. My voice was low, dangerous. She was everything. Maya's smirk faltered. For the first time, she looked at me and saw something she couldn't control, and that was the night I knew. I wouldn't stop until I found Lily, no matter what it cost me. Life in the small town was nothing grand, but it was steady. After so many months of emptiness and silence, steady felt like a miracle. At the bakery, I found comfort in the scent of bread and the sound of laughter. Mrs. Hayes treated me like family, fussing over me whenever I worked too hard. And Noah was there like a steady flame, always near, never pushing too far. One afternoon, after we closed, Noah lingered by the counter. "You work too much," he said with a grin. "So do you," I replied. "Fair," he chuckled. Then his voice softened. "But at least I don't look like I might collapse any second." I froze. He wasn't wrong. My illness had been worse lately, the pain sharper, my body weaker, but I didn't want him to see me as fragile. "I'm fine," I lied. He tilted his head, studying me. "You don't have to pretend with me, Lily." I looked away, my throat tight. "I've spent so long pretending. I don't know how to stop." Noah's eyes softened. "Then let me be the one place you don't have to." The words hit me harder than I expected. For a long time, Ethan's house had been a cage of silence, where love was something I gave but never received. Now here was someone offering me a kind of safety I didn't think I deserved. And that evening, Noah walked me home. The street lamps glowed dimly, rain dripping from the rooftops. He held the umbrella over me even though half of him was soaked. "You're going to catch a cold," I said quietly. He laughed. "Worth it." I shook my head, but my chest ached. Not from illness this time, but from the warmth his presence brought. For a moment, I let myself imagine a life where I wasn't sick. A life where I wasn't haunted by Ethan's shadow. A life where Noah's hand in mine felt natural, but reality pressed in quickly. My time was running out, and I couldn't let Noah carry the weight of my goodbye. Meanwhile, Ethan's face haunted me at night. I'd see him in dreams, standing by the window, tie loose, whiskey untouched, eyes full of storms. I'd wake up sweating, clutching the sheets, angry at myself for still missing him. He had let me go. He had chosen her. So why did my heart still whisper his name when Noah stood right in front of me? What I didn't know then was that Ethan had already started looking for me. Back in the city, he tore through contacts, hired private investigators, even drove himself to places I might have gone. Every time a lead failed, his anger grew sharper, his chest tighter. "She's just a girl," Maya sneered one night when she caught him on the phone. Ethan's glare cut through her. "She's the only girl that ever mattered." For the first time, Maya looked afraid, not of losing him, she already had, but of realizing she had never truly held him at all. And somewhere between the city and my fragile new life, the threads of fate were pulling us back toward each other. Whether I was ready or not, I had been searching for weeks. Every lead turned into a dead end. Every name on the list gave me nothing but frustration. I barely slept, barely ate. My life became her shadow, one I couldn't catch. And then one morning, the investigator called. She's in a small town a few hours from the city, works in a bakery. Name's Lily Hayes now. The world stopped. I gripped the phone so tight my knuckles turned white. My Lily. Hiding under another name, living another life. I didn't wait. I drove straight out of the city, my car eating up the road like it shared my desperation. The rain pelted the windshield, the wipers barely keeping up. My chest thudded with a mix of fear and fire. What if she hated me? What if she refused to see me? What if I was too late? When I finally reached the town, I spotted the bakery easily. It had her warmth written all over it. Yellow curtains, flower pots by the window, the kind of place that smelled like safety. I stepped out of the car, my heart hammering. My hand hovered on the door, but before I could open it, I saw her. She was standing just outside, a basket of bread in her arms. Her hair was a little shorter, her frame thinner, but she was still her. Still the woman who had ruined me without even trying. And then, my chest burned, he appeared. A man walked up behind her, taking the basket from her hands with ease. He leaned close, said something that made her laugh. Laugh. The sound cut through me like a blade, because it wasn't mine anymore. Her smile wasn't mine. I clenched my fists. She looked up at him with soft eyes, the kind of eyes she once looked at me with, and when he placed his hand lightly on her back, guiding her inside, my world went up in flames. And I couldn't move. I stood there on the street, rain soaking my suit, watching her slip away from me again, this time by choice. Anger, regret, longing, they all collided inside me until I couldn't breathe. She had left me, but not empty. She had left me with this unbearable ache, this fire that burned hotter now that I'd seen her with someone else. I whispered her name like a prayer. Lily. And for the first time I understood the true weight of losing her. It wasn't just the silence of the house, or the echo of her laughter gone. It was knowing she might belong to someone else now. That night, I didn't go back to the city. I parked near the bakery and sat in my car, watching the dim light flicker in the windows. My hands shook on the steering wheel, my jaw tight with rage and desperation. She thought she could disappear. She thought she could erase me, but she was wrong. Because no matter who stood by her side now, she was still mine, and I was going to make her remember it. The bell above the bakery door chimed the next morning. I glanced up from the counter, expecting a customer. My breath caught in my throat. Ethan. He stood there, tall, sharp, rain still clinging to his dark suit. His eyes locked on me with an intensity that froze me in place. For a second, the world tilted. My chest tightened, my legs weak. After all these months of fighting, of building a fragile life, there he was like a storm walking straight into my calm. Lily, he said, his voice rough like he hadn't spoken my name in years. My lips parted, but nothing came out. The sound of his voice dug into old wounds, wounds I had spent so long trying to heal. I gripped the counter to steady myself. What are you doing here? My voice came out quieter than I wanted. His jaw clenched. Looking for you. Always looking for you. The air between us thickened, heavy with memories. I wanted to run, to push him out, but I couldn't move. My heart betrayed me, beating faster just because he was near. The silence was broken when Noah stepped out from the back room, wiping flour from his hands. His easy smile froze the second he saw Ethan. Everything okay, Lily? Noah asked, his gaze flicking between us. Ethan's eyes darkened, sharp as knives. Who is he? I stiffened. Ethan, don't. He cut me off. Who is he, Lily? His voice was low, dangerous, but beneath it was a crack, a desperation that almost undid me. Noah moved closer, standing beside me. His presence felt like a shield. I'm Noah, and I think you should leave. Ethan's jaw tightened, his hands curling into fists. His gaze dropped to where Noah stood too close to me, and I could see the fire in his eyes. My heart raced. This was the moment I had feared, the collision of my past and my fragile present. Ethan, I whispered, finally finding my voice. You shouldn't have come. His eyes shot back to mine, raw and unguarded. I let you go once, Lily. I won't do it again. The bakery walls seemed to close in, the smell of bread and sugar mixing with the storm of emotions crashing inside me. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run into his arms, to push him out forever. Instead, I whispered the only truth I could manage. You don't get to decide that anymore. His face froze, pain flickering across his sharp features. And for the first time since leaving, I saw Ethan not as the powerful man who once owned every part of my life, but as someone broken, clawing desperately at what he had already lost. After Ethan left the bakery that morning, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I pressed them against the counter, trying to ground myself, but his voice still echoed in my chest. I let you go once, Lily. I won't do it again. The words burned. They shouldn't have meant anything. Not after everything, but deep down, they cracked the fragile wall I had built around my heart. Noah closed the door after him, turning back to me with worry in his eyes. Are you okay? I nodded too quickly. I'm fine. You don't look fine, I forced a smile. Really, Noah, don't worry. But he didn't move, didn't believe me. His hand brushed mine on the counter, gentle, steady. If he's the one who hurt you, I won't let him near you again. Something in my chest twisted. Noah's protection felt warm, safe. Yet Ethan's shadow loomed so large I could barely breathe. From that night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My body ached with the familiar pain, sharper now, reminding me of the secret I still carried, the sickness I hadn't told Noah about. The sickness Ethan never cared to see. A bitter laugh slipped from my lips. Maybe that was why fate had brought him back now, so I could finally show him what he had done to me, what his absence had caused. But another part of me, the part that still dreamed about his touch, his voice, his eyes, longed to believe he was here because he finally realized what I meant to him. I hated myself for it. The next day, Ethan was waiting outside the bakery again. I froze when I saw him. The suit, the sharpness of his face, the storm in his eyes, it was all the same. But something in him had changed. The arrogance was cracked. The power was dimmed. "Lily," he said softly, stepping forward. Noah moved to my side immediately. "I told you to leave her alone." Ethan's jaw tightened, but his eyes never left mine. "I can't." The air between them was fire, two flames colliding. One steady and warm, the other dangerous and consuming, and I was trapped between them. I swallowed hard. "Stop, both of you." My voice shook, but it cut through the tension. They looked at me, waiting, fighting for pieces of me neither of them could fully have. I turned away, my chest aching. "I don't belong to either of you. Not anymore." The lie scraped my throat raw, because part of me still belonged to Ethan no matter how much I wished it didn't. And another part longed for Noah's safety, his quiet love. Two fires, and I was the one burning. That night, after Noah walked me home, I sat alone in my small kitchen, staring at the pills on the table. The illness was getting worse. My time was running out faster than I wanted to admit, and yet, instead of fear, one thought filled my mind. If they both knew the truth, who would stay? I hadn't slept in days. Every morning I found myself back outside the bakery waiting for her, waiting for Lily. When she finally stepped out holding a tray of bread, I nearly lost my breath. She looked thinner, paler than before. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Lily," I called, moving toward her. She froze, her grip on the tray tightening. For a second I thought she would run. Instead, she set the tray down slowly and faced me. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I should have never let you go." Her eyes flashed, anger and pain colliding. "You didn't let me go, Ethan. You threw me away." The words hit harder than I expected, but I didn't move. I couldn't. I was blind, foolish, whatever you want to call it. But I see you now, Lily, and I won't walk away again. Her lips trembled, but before she could answer, Noah stepped out of the bakery. He spotted us and stiffened immediately. "Didn't I make myself clear?" Noah's voice was sharp. "Leave her alone." I turned toward him, rage sparking. "You think you can protect her from me? From what we are?" Noah's jaw clenched. "What you are is the man who hurt her. You don't get to claim her now." Lily's hand shot up between us, her voice breaking. "Stop it, both of you." But before I could argue again, she swayed on her feet. Her face went pale, her knees buckling. "Lily!" we shouted at the same time. I caught her before she hit the ground, her fragile body collapsing into my arms. Her skin was cold, too cold, and the fear that surged through me was unlike anything I had ever known. "Call a doctor," I barked at Noah, my hands trembling as I held her. But Noah was already dialing, his voice urgent. I looked down at her face, at the faint flutter of her lashes. My chest ached, breaking wide open. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. And suddenly it didn't matter that Noah was here, or that she hated me, or that I had been blind before. All that mattered was that I couldn't lose her again. Not like this. Hours later, she woke up in her small apartment tucked under blankets. Noah sat on one side of the bed, his hand resting lightly on hers. I stood on the other side, my chest still burning with the memory of her going limp in my arms. Her eyes flicked between us, wide and tired. "I told you both. I don't want this." Her voice was barely a whisper, but it cut deep. I leaned closer, unable to stop myself. "Then tell me what's wrong. Tell me what you're hiding." Her eyes glistened, but she looked away. "Nothing. Just tired." I didn't believe her. Not for a second, and I swore to myself I'd find out. Because whatever was tearing her down, I wasn't going to let it take her away from me. I woke up the next morning with a pounding in my head and a heaviness in my chest. My body was a battlefield, every breath a reminder of the fight I couldn't win. But when I sat up, I froze. Ethan was there, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, his eyes on me. Noah sat in a chair by the window, his head in his hands, exhaustion carved into his face. For a moment, I wanted to disappear. "You should both go," I said softly. Noah was the first to answer. "Not happening." Ethan's gaze didn't move. "You're sick." The words dropped like stones. I stiffened, gripping the blanket tighter. "I'm fine." "No," Ethan said, stepping closer. "You nearly collapsed in my arms yesterday. Your skin was cold, your breathing uneven. Don't lie to me, Lily." I swallowed hard, forcing myself not to break. "You don't get to demand answers anymore. You lost that right." His eyes darkened, but his voice cracked. "You think I care about rights? I care about you." The way he said it, it almost broke me. Almost. Noah straightened, his voice firm. "She doesn't owe you anything, Ethan. She's been through enough because of you." Ethan turned to him, anger flashing. "And what about now? Are you just going to sit here while she withers in front of you? Don't you dare—" Noah snapped, but I cut him off, my voice sharp. "Stop it." My chest ached, but I forced the words out. "I can't do this. Not between you two. Not with this." Silence followed, heavy and suffocating. Noah finally stood, his shoulders tense. "Lily, you need rest. I'll be outside if you need me." He left, closing the door quietly behind him. That left me with Ethan. He moved closer, kneeling by the bed. His hand brushed mine, hesitant, trembling. "What are you hiding from me, Lily?" I closed my eyes, fighting tears. "You don't want to know." "Yes," he whispered, "I do. More than anything." The pain in his voice was almost unbearable. For the first time, I let my guard slip just a little. My voice cracked as I whispered, "What if I don't have much time left, Ethan?" His hand froze. His face went pale, eyes wide with something I had never seen in him before. Fear. Real. Raw fear. "Don't say that," he breathed, his grip tightening on my hand. "Don't you dare say that." I looked at him then, really looked, and for a second he wasn't the cold man who had let me go. He was someone broken, desperate, clinging to me like I was the only thing keeping him alive. But it was too late. Because whether he stayed or not, my body had already chosen the path, and I wasn't sure love could save me this time. Her words wouldn't leave my head. "What if I don't have much time left, Ethan?" It played over and over, cutting me deeper each time. I paced her small kitchen, running a hand through my hair until it hurt. No, I couldn't accept it. She couldn't leave me. Not when I had just found her again. When Noah walked in carrying groceries, I snapped before I even thought. "What is she sick with?" He froze, setting the bag down carefully. His eyes narrowed. "That's not your business." I grabbed the counter to steady myself, my voice sharp. She almost collapsed in front of me. She told me she might not have time left. "Don't you dare tell me it's not my business." Noah's jaw clenched, his voice low. "You weren't here when she cried herself to sleep. You weren't here when she worked through pain just to keep standing. You forfeited the right to demand anything the day you let her go." The truth stung, but I didn't back down. "I won't let her die." His laugh was humorless. "You think this is something you can control? Throw money at? She doesn't need a savior, Ethan. She needs peace. Peace." The word felt like poison, because all I could see was her slipping away from me, while this man stood between us like a wall. "I don't care what it takes," I said through clenched teeth. "I'll find the best doctors, the best treatments, anything. She deserves to live." Noah stepped closer, his voice steady, eyes burning. "She deserves to choose. And if she doesn't want you in this, then stay out." For a moment, I almost broke. Almost. But then I thought of her laugh, her touch. The way she once looked at me like I was her whole world. I wasn't letting go again. That night, I sat by her bed as she slept. Her breathing was shallow, uneven, and every rise and fall of her chest made my own ache. I reached for her hand, holding it gently, afraid she'd pull away even in her dreams. "I don't care if you hate me," I whispered. "I don't care if you never forgive me, just don't leave me like this." Her fingers twitched, curling weakly around mine. My heart cracked wide open. For years I thought strength was control, power, keeping the world under my hand. But now, staring at her fragile body, I realized true strength was this, falling apart for someone else. I would burn the world if it meant keeping her here, even if she never wanted me again. The days blurred into each other. Some mornings I woke with enough strength to stand and work at the bakery. Other mornings I could barely sit up without my chest aching. But the hardest part wasn't the illness. It was them. Ethan and Noah. Everywhere I turned, one of them was there. Ethan with his burning determination, Noah with his quiet shield. Two forces pulling me in opposite directions, leaving me gasping in the middle. One afternoon, I caught Ethan in the kitchen with Mrs. Hayes, asking questions about specialists, treatments, hospitals. His voice was sharp, almost desperate. When he noticed me, he straightened immediately. "I have people in New York." "No." My voice cracked, but I held his gaze. "Stop it, Ethan." His eyes narrowed. "Why would you fight me on this?" "Because it's my life. My body." Something in his face shattered at that. He looked away, his jaw tight. "I won't stand by and watch you die." The words stole my breath. Before I could answer, Noah appeared in the doorway, his voice steady. "Then leave, because she doesn't need more chaos in her life." Their stares clashed like fire and steel. I wanted to scream, to tear them apart. Instead, my chest tightened and I doubled over in a sharp cough. Blood spotted my palm. Both of them rushed to me at once. Their hands on my shoulders, their voices overlapping. "Lily, breathe." "It's okay." I shoved them back weakly. "Stop, just stop." My voice broke as tears blurred my vision. "I can't do this. I can't be the battlefield for your war." Silence followed, heavy, suffocating. I stumbled to my room and shut the door, my back against the wood as I slid to the floor. My body trembled, the truth I'd been hiding pressing harder. I was running out of time, and the walls were closing in faster than I could push them back. And that night, lying in bed, I heard voices outside my door. Ethan's voice low, raw. "I can't lose her again, Noah." Noah's reply was steady, unshaken. "Then don't make her last days harder than they already are." I buried my face into the pillow, tears soaking the fabric. Two men fighting for me. But the real war wasn't them. It was inside me. I should have known Ethan wouldn't stop. He never did when he set his mind on something. The morning started like any other. I woke weak, the pain gnawing at my temples, Noah gently helping me sit up with a cup of tea. I thought I had a quiet day ahead, but Ethan had other plans. By noon, he arrived with a car waiting outside, a doctor already in tow. His eyes were sharp, determined, and when he saw me by the counter, his expression hardened with resolve. "Pack a bag," he said. "We're leaving." I blinked at him, shocked. "Leaving? Where?" "New York, a specialist." "The best there is," my heart thudded. "No, Ethan, no." He stepped closer, his voice low, steady, terrifying in its certainty. "You are not dying in this town, Lily, not while I'm alive." Noah stormed out from the kitchen, flour still dusting his shirt. "What the hell are you doing?" Ethan didn't even flinch. "Saving her." I shook my head, panic rising. "You don't get to decide that for me." "Yes, I do," Ethan snapped, his control cracking. His hands curled into fists, his voice rough. "Because I lost you once, and I will not bury you." The bakery went silent. My chest tightened, my eyes burning. Noah's jaw clenched. "You can't drag her into your world again, Ethan. You already broke her once." "This isn't about me," Ethan fired back. "It's about her life." Their voices rose, sharp as knives, clashing in the air. And I, fragile, shaking, felt the walls of the bakery close in on me. Finally, I shouted, "Stop!" Both of them froze. I took a trembling breath, tears sliding down my face. "Do you even hear yourselves? You're not saving me. You're chaining me, again." Ethan's face fell, the fire in his eyes dimming. Noah looked away, shame flickering across his features. "I am not your war," I whispered, clutching my chest. "I'm just a woman who's tired. Tired of fighting, tired of being pulled apart. If I go, it has to be my choice." Ethan stepped forward, softer now, his voice breaking. "Then choose me, Lily. Let me fight for you." My heart clenched so tight I thought it would split in two. His eyes were raw, desperate, full of a love I once dreamed of but never thought I'd see. Noah's voice cut through the silence, steady but heavy. "Or choose peace, and I'll stay by your side until the very last breath." My tears fell faster, because either way the truth loomed closer than ever. Time was slipping, and soon I would have to choose. The bakery was too quiet after that storm of words. Ethan stood like a shadow carved in stone. Noah's arms crossed tight, his jaw tense. Both of them waited for me to speak, but I could hardly breathe. I sat down slowly on one of the wooden chairs, my hands shaking. "You both deserve the truth," I whispered. Noah moved closer, placing a steadying hand on my shoulder. Ethan didn't move, but I felt his eyes burning into me. "I've been sick for a long time," I said, my voice breaking with each word. "The headaches, the fainting. It isn't stress. It isn't exhaustion." I looked up at them, my tears blurring everything. "It's a tumor. In my brain." Ethan staggered back as if I had struck him. His lips parted, his chest heaving, but no sound came out. Noah gripped my shoulder tighter as though he could shield me from the weight of my own truth. I kept going, because I had to. "The doctors gave me months, maybe a year if I fight hard. But even then," I swallowed the lump in my throat. "There are no promises. No forever." Ethan's voice finally cracked through the silence. "Why didn't you tell me?" His words were hoarse, almost broken. "Because you already let me go once," I whispered. "And I couldn't bear for you to pity me. I wanted to be strong for myself, not weak in your eyes." Ethan's hands shook at his sides. His face twisted with pain. "Lily, pity? Is that what you think this is? You were dying and God, I walked away like a fool." Noah cut in, steady, calm, but sharp. "And she survived without you. Don't forget that." But Ethan wasn't listening to him anymore. His gaze was locked on me, wild, desperate, undone. "I can't lose you," he said, dropping to his knees in front of me. "Not now, not again. I'll find the best doctors, I'll pay anything, I'll fight every day beside you." His voice broke. "I'll give you my life if I have to." My tears poured harder. I touched his face with trembling fingers. "Ethan, this isn't something money or power can fix. This is my road. I fight." His eyes closed, his body shaking under my touch, and Noah knelt on my other side, his hand covering mine. "Then let us fight with you," he said softly. "Don't carry this alone anymore." I broke then. The tears, the fear, the years of silence, all of it spilled out in sobs. For the first time in so long, I wasn't alone. But in the corner of my heart, a truth still whispered. Even if love surrounded me, time was still slipping, and choices had to be made before it ran out. I couldn't breathe. Her words echoed like a hammer inside my skull. A tumor. No promises. Months, maybe a year, it didn't feel real. Lily, my Lily, couldn't be dying. Not when I had only just found her again. I sat frozen on the bakery floor long after she stopped crying, my knees numb, my chest on fire. Noah sat beside her, holding her like some shield of calm, and I hated him for it. Hated him for being here all the years I wasn't. But mostly I hated myself. I left her when she needed me. I believed lies, I let pride blind me, and while she fought for her life alone, I lived in glass towers thinking money made me untouchable. Now I saw the truth. Money couldn't buy back time, and love, real love, was never measured in contracts or control. It was her. Always her. When she finally drifted off to sleep, exhausted from the storm, I slipped outside into the cold night. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. "Find me the best neurosurgeons in the world," I barked into the line, my voice cracking. "I don't care the cost. Charter the jet. Call whoever you need. She's not dying, do you hear me? Not her." The assistant stammered a yes, but it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. I hung up and leaned against the wall, pressing my palms into my face. The street smelled of bread and coffee, but all I tasted was ash. Noah's voice startled me. He had followed me out. Throwing money at this won't change what she's facing. I turned, rage flashing hot. And what will? Sitting by her side, watching her fade. You think that's love? His jaw clenched. It's not about saving her with power. It's about standing where she needs you. Even if it means letting her go in peace, I laughed bitterly, my chest tight. Letting her go? I already did that once. Never again. If I have to burn down the world to keep her alive, I will. Noah's eyes darkened. And if she doesn't want to be saved your way? I had no answer. Only fire in my veins, fear in my bones. Because deep down I knew. This wasn't just her fight anymore. It was mine too. And I would fight dirty if I had to. My body was betraying me faster than I wanted to admit. Some mornings, I could barely lift my head from the pillow. My hands shook when I tried to knead dough. Even the smell of fresh bread, once my comfort, sometimes made me sick. I saw it in Noah's eyes. Quiet worry he tried to hide behind smiles. I saw it in Ethan's too, though his worry was never quiet. His burned hot, loud like fire, ready to swallow the world. They both loved me in their own way. One gave me peace, the other gave me storms. And me. I was standing in between, knowing time was slipping through my fingers like sand. Ethan hovered close that evening, refusing to leave even after Noah insisted he give me space. He stood at the counter, arms crossed, eyes locked on me as if watching would keep me alive. "You can't keep staring like that," I whispered, forcing a weak smile. His jaw tightened. "I don't want to miss a second." The words pierced me deeper than I wanted them to. Noah came with tea, placing it gently in my hands. His touch was steady, grounding. "Drink this, Lily. It will ease the pain a little." I glanced at both of them, Ethan's burning eyes, Noah's calm ones, and something inside me cracked. "I can't be your war," I whispered. My voice shook. "Don't you see? I don't have strength left for battles. If you love me, either of you, you'll stop tearing me apart." The room went still. Ethan's fists loosened, Noah's lips pressed into a line. Tears slipped down my cheeks. I don't need saving in chains. I don't need promises in anger. I need choice. Mine. For the first time, they both stayed silent. And for the first time, I felt the weight of my own truth settle in my chest. I wasn't just fighting for life anymore. I was fighting for the right to love the way I wanted. Before the end came, whether that end was months away or years, I couldn't watch her fade anymore. Every day she grew paler, her hands weaker, her smile thinner. And every night I lay awake, hearing her words replay in my head. I need choice. Mine. But how could I stand by and let her choose death? The morning I made my decision, she was sitting by the window, wrapped in a blanket, sunlight falling across her tired face. She looked too fragile, like glass that could shatter if I blinked too hard. I stepped into the room, my voice low but firm. "Pack a bag, Lily." Her head turned slowly, her eyes confused. "Why, we're leaving. There's a specialist waiting in New York, the best in the world." She shook her head instantly. "No, Ethan, we already talked about this. This isn't a debate," I cut in, my chest tight. "You deserve a chance. And I'll tear the earth apart to give it to you." Her lips trembled. "You can't force me into this." But I already had the car waiting outside, the plane ready. I was done waiting on fate. Noah came storming in, his voice like steel. "You don't get to drag her into your battles again, Ethan. If she says no, that's final." I turned on him, fire surging in my veins. Final? Watching her waste away is final. This is a chance. Lily's voice cracked through us, fragile but sharp. "Stop, both of you." Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at me. "Ethan, if I go, it has to be because I choose to. Not because you shoved me onto some plane." The words gutted me. I stood frozen, torn between rage at her illness and the desperate need to save her. Noah placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Lily, if you want to go, I'll take you. But if you want to stay, I'll be here always." I swallowed hard, my throat burning. This wasn't how I wanted it. I wanted to fight, to control, to bend the world until it obeyed me. But her tears broke me. "Then choose," I whispered, my voice raw. "Not for me. Not for him. For you." Her eyes lingered on mine, soft but unyielding. And in that silence I realized I couldn't win this battle with force. If she agreed to fight, it had to come from her heart, not my fear. The night before the flight, I couldn't sleep. The bakery was dark, silent. Only the hum of the fridge in the kitchen breaking the stillness. Noah had dozed off on the couch. Ethan sat awake in the corner like a guard who wouldn't close his eyes. And me. I sat at the little wooden table with a pen in hand and paper in front of me. Because if tomorrow went wrong, if I never woke from that surgery, I needed to leave something behind. Something that said what my mouth never had the courage to. My hand shook as I began to write. "Ethan, you were my storm, my fire, my undoing. I hated you for letting me go, but I loved you still in ways I couldn't stop even when I tried. If tomorrow takes me, remember this, you were always the love I couldn't forget. But love doesn't mean chains. If I don't wake, let this be my choice, not your punishment." I paused, tears dripping onto the paper. My chest ached, but I kept going. "Noah, you were my anchor, my safe place, the quiet I needed when the world felt too heavy. If tomorrow takes me, thank you for standing where I fell. Thank you for showing me that love can also be gentle. Don't hate Ethan for what he couldn't see before. It's not his fault. It was never ours to control. By the time I signed my name, my tears had blurred the ink. I folded the letter and slipped it under the little ceramic jar on the counter, where I knew they'd find it if they had to. And then I sat by the window, watching the moonlight spill across the street, whispering into the night like a prayer, please, just let me have one more tomorrow. Behind me, I felt Ethan's gaze burn into me even without words. He didn't know what I had written. He didn't know I was already preparing to say goodbye. But deep in my heart, I knew, no matter what happened, someone was going to break. And maybe, so was I. Hospitals always smelled like fear. Sterile walls, white lights, machines that hummed like vultures circling overhead. I hated every inch of it, but tonight I hated myself more. For bringing Lily here, for watching her pale face disappear behind those double doors while doctors wheeled her away. Her hand had slipped from mine too fast, and for a moment it felt like goodbye. I stood frozen in the hallway, my chest hollow, my hands shaking. Noah was beside me, calm as stone, but I could see the cracks in his eyes. Hours dragged like years. Every minute I paced the floor, fists tight, breath shallow. Noah sat with his head bowed, whispering words I couldn't hear. Prayers, maybe. Finally, I snapped. How can you sit there? She's in there fighting for her life. He lifted his head slowly, his gaze steady. Because if she doesn't wake up, the last thing she deserves is for us to fall apart. The words hit me like a blade. I turned away, raking my hands through my hair. I can't lose her, Noah. I can't. His voice was soft but sharp. You already lost her once. You let her go. If she doesn't make it, don't turn her last choice into your curse. I spun, anger boiling. And what, just let her slip away in peace? I can't do that. I'd rather burn with her than live without her. Noah's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak again. Silence filled the hall, heavy, suffocating. Then the doors opened. The surgeon stepped out, mask pulled down, exhaustion etched into his face. I froze, unable to breathe. She made it through, he said. The surgery was long, complicated. But she's alive. The next few days are critical. She'll need rest, care, and luck. But for now, she's here, my knees buckled. Relief crashed over me so hard I almost fell. I pressed my fists against my eyes, choking back a sob I hadn't let myself feel in years. Noah placed a steady hand on my shoulder, not as a rival, but as a man who loved her too. She's alive, he whispered. And for the first time, I believed maybe, just maybe, there was still time. 3 months. That's how long it took before I could stand in my bakery again. Sunlight warm on my face, the smell of bread filling the air like an old friend. I was weaker, thinner, my hair shorter after the treatment. But I was alive. Noah was the one who walked me here the first morning. His hand never left my elbow, steady and protective. He set a chair by the counter before I could even argue, then went to fix the shelves, humming softly under his breath. Ethan arrived minutes later, as he had every morning since the surgery. But he was different now. He didn't storm in with fire and demands. He came quiet, carrying flowers, setting them in a vase without a word. When his eyes met mine, there was no control, no chains, only hope, fragile but real. Weeks passed that way. Noah by my side, Ethan hovering close, and me, caught between gratitude and the pull of a love that had never let me go. Until one evening, as the shop closed and the world outside quieted, I asked them both to stay. I sat at the little wooden table, my hands folded, my heart steady for the first time in years. I can't keep living in between you, I said softly. You've both given me pieces of your hearts. You've both stood by me when I thought I wouldn't see another sunrise. Noah's eyes lowered, already knowing what I would say. Ethan's gaze burned, waiting, bracing. I reached for Noah's hand first. You were my anchor, my safe harbor. Without you, I might not have made it here, but anchors are meant to hold ships still, and I want to sail. His fingers squeezed mine, gentle, accepting. A sad smile touched his lips. Then go where your heart takes you, Lily. I'll always be here if you need shore. Tears filled my eyes as I turned to Ethan. His hands trembled on the table, his chest rising and falling too fast. You were my storm, I whispered. The fire that burned me, the love I swore I hated but never stopped needing. You broke me once, but you also made me live. Ethan's breath caught, his eyes wet. And now? He asked, voice raw. I smiled through tears. Now I choose you, not because I have to, not because of contracts or money, but because even in the goodbye I gave you, my heart never left. He covered his face with his hands, a broken sound escaping his throat. When he finally looked at me, his eyes held something new. Humility, reverence, love without chains. Noah stood, slipping away quietly. His hand brushed my shoulder as he passed. "Be happy, Lily, that's all I ever wanted." When the door closed, I turned back to Ethan. He reached across the table, holding my hands like they were the most precious thing he'd ever touched. "I won't waste this," he whispered. Not a second, and for the first time, I believed him. The goodbye that once tore us apart had brought us here, to a beginning born out of ending. And this time, I wasn't afraid. If you loved this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. It means the world.